I think today is a good day to talk about one of the interactions that I had in heaven when I was coming out of the conference room after a meeting with these ascended masters and archangels. I was looking down on the ground because I was thinking about what the conversation was about. The whole meeting was about love, but I'm not allowed to remember the entire meeting. I remember I was with Archangel Michael and others, but I remember being right next to him and looking down at the ground thinking, and all of a sudden I just got this feeling to look up in front of me, and there was this 8 foot tall, snow white, he looked like a human, okay, but he was snow white. And what he was wearing was, it was like, it's almost like a toga slash robe. I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't anything that I've seen other than in heaven. But it went from he was wearing around his arms and chest up to here, and it went down to the ground. And his eyes were these Himalayan blue eyes. And I just stopped in my tracks because I couldn't believe what I was feeling from him. And I was in heaven, and I felt this incredible love, just this incredible amount of love. And he looked at me and I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Father Time." And I said, "I thought you were a fairy tale, like the rest of them." I mean, I thought God was a fairy tale. I thought Jesus and everybody was a fairy tale. I thought heaven was a whole fairy tale thing because I was an atheist. And I grew up Roman Catholic, and there was no proof for me. So it was very easy for me after my rape to fall into the atheist category. But he said, "No, I'm not a fairy tale." And he said, "I've been with you throughout all of your lives." And I thought, what? And I said, "Okay." And we had this conversation about what I don't remember. It was very short. It felt like only a few minutes. And then he announced that he had to go. And I was thinking, well, how do I keep him here? Because he's such a beautiful frequency of love. I didn't want him to leave. I just wanted to talk more with him. And I said, God ordered me to write a book. Is there anything that you would like to add to it? And he said without hesitation, yes. Time does not heal all wounds. Only love heals all wounds throughout time. The reason that I'm feeling compelled to share this again is looking at the news right now, and talking about this war in Iran that shouldn't be happening, and the consistent division of countries and viewpoints and situations that are going on in our world right now. Literally, the raping of young children and women, and the desecration of religions, and coming after each other, killing innocent children and victims, adults as well, in Gaza. Israel, come on. Listen, there is no reason. We have to change the way in which we do things. We really do. Because as Father Time said to me, time does not heal all wounds. And our world history has proven that. No time has healed anything. Because according to my NDE alone, my one-sided NDE, I get it, the Native Americans were slaughtered from the 1100s. I watched it. I can still see this chief on horseback at night riding around a fire, and he was decapitated, okay, by the European guy on the other horse. It's so brutal what has happened in our history, and our history has been rewritten. Now, there is enough proof. The next thing that I had to watch was the World War II and the Holocaust. There is enough proof there to see what has happened, okay? And then I had to watch the Civil Rights Movement. And again, we have enough proof there to see what happened. And again, time has not healed all of those wounds, okay? So what we need to come to as a collective to unify in our world is an understanding that there is no difference between any of us. There are different living situations. There are different belief systems based upon how each individual was raised. And this is something to take seriously and look at closely, because what we're not investigating is why these things keep happening. And I can tell you why, because love is not understood. If love were understood, this would not be continuing in our world. We are on this cyclical hamster wheel. Keeps going, and humanity has to jump off now and really start correcting the rhythm of life and how it's going. Because right now we are in a downward spiral that's going quicker and quicker and quicker. And for those who say, oh, but through all of the good stuff, through all of the bad stuff, there are those of us who, we believe it's getting better, and it's the storm before, the awakening, if you will. And I question that. I question that because how does that justify anything? It doesn't. It just doesn't. And to me, we cannot feel comfortable in what is going on in our world. You may not think it is directly affecting you, but in fact it is. It absolutely is. And when God asked me at his table, after I watched those 3 world events with Jesus, he said to me, Megan, what did you watch? They were questions. He was testing me. What did you watch? And I explained to him. And how did it make you feel? And I explained to him. And it was incredibly tragic. I was crying the entire time because I couldn't believe the cruelty of individuals. And his question to me, I cannot forget. So what are you going to do to change it? And I said, what do you mean, what am I going to do to change it? It's already happened. There's nothing I can do. And he immediately responded with, that's the problem with humanity. They do nothing unless they're directly affected. So we're all being directly affected right now. And we all know who we're being directly affected by. I'm not even going to say, because it's pretty obvious. But this is directly affecting everyone's well-being, and more division is being imposed in our world for varying reasons, because humanity has not corrected itself and risen to the next level of saying, okay, let's communicate differently. Let's have understanding here. Let's correct what's happened. This should not be happening. Okay, how can we peacefully resolve this situation? And in order to peacefully resolve any situation, we're going to have to hold ourselves accountable as being a different type of listener and hold no judgment. Now, that's pretty difficult because we have some situations in our world right now that definitely need judgment on it, okay? Like sex trafficking of children should not be happening, okay? That deserves some clean, hard judgment. However, in addition to that, it's like pull it out, weed out what needs to be focused on, and correct it with a new understanding of how these individuals got to this position to begin with. How is it that this type of an individual exists? This is some deep work that we need to do in humanity. We need, as a whole, to correct everything. We need to really recalibrate ourselves and how we will show up in our lives differently in order to make this correction and this change happen. I don't want war for anybody, but I remember what I saw and what I heard in heaven. And I know we are coming into another one right now. and I know that it's happening. It may not be directly affecting you yet, but it is going to directly affect everyone. It already is. It's going to get worse. And I have seen this, and there are things that I saw in heaven that I have talked about in my first book. I don't even want to talk about it right now, but what I do want to say to you is get your ducks in a row. Figure out how you are going to be able to not only help yourself, but help others. Because this is not a time to isolate. This is a time to unify differently. And this is a time to correct the systems that are out of alignment with reality. And there are too many right now that are being shown to us in social media. So time does not heal all wounds. Only love heals all wounds throughout time. And this is what I'm teaching. I want everyone to understand what it is you are dealing with in terms of yourself and how you apply yourself. Don't you question, well, what am I supposed to do about this? I mean, I did in front of God. Well, what am I going to do about it? It's already been done. There are things that you can do. There are ways of showing up in life to be effective, to help everyone. Listen, I'm doing the best I can when I post these videos because I want peace. I have talked about abortion, and it has upset some, and it has been understood by others. The only reason that I spoke about it, because I never felt comfortable talking about that, is because God ordered me to tell everything. So I have spoken about everything. And when I talk about abortion, it's not giving permission to kill anyone. That's not it. An abortion is an isolated matter and situation, and that's what I was talking about. Not the destruction of humanity. It's not about bombing children and innocent victims throughout the world, like in Gaza and in Iran and in Venezuela, pulling all of this shit out. What's happening right now is so wrong. It is so fucking wrong. And this has got to be corrected. I can't sit by with what I've seen in heaven and not say anything, because I know everybody sat back until they were directly affected in World War II. I watched it, and it's frightening. That is what is frightening, is that people can justify, somebody else will take care of it. No, doesn't directly affect me. Well, I'm fine. I live in this country. It's happening over there. It's happening over there. Okay, but what you're not getting is that happening over there and happening over there is still happening here, because we're all witnessing it. And then what it does is it triggers this fear into humanity, more fear and more angst and anger and rage and people not being heard. And this is extremely dangerous. And that is what has never been addressed. So I know too well from my near-death experience that we need to step forward, keep speaking, keep moving forward to pull down that which is not right, and correct it for whatever it's worth. Correct it with peace, and correct it with intention of only showing up as love and protecting everyone. Because if you only protect some, you protect no one. Fact. So think about how many religions atone for things, okay? So what is the sin? Is it killing? Is it murder and rape? And yeah, these are all sins. Is it stealing? Is it annihilating people's lives? Absolutely. But the greatest sin, as I was told last year in a meditation, because I even asked the question as I'm writing my book right now, I said, okay, I grew up Catholic. So what is the greatest sin? I mean, is it thou shalt not have another God before me? Is it, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. So I can't remember them all right now, but the point is that I thought, okay, which one, what is it? And loud and clear, I heard the greatest sin is to not love yourself. And if you know how to love yourself, then you know how to love another. Because when you understand yourself, you will understand what another is. Not as a skin hue, not as a religious individual, not as a male or female, not as a homosexual, not as a transsexual or transgender, not as some other label. There's only one label. And I've talked about this before. There are over 7,000 languages in the world. And really there's only one. And that one is love. So if you don't speak the language of love, everybody knows it innately. Everyone. If you don't speak the language of love, nothing is going to change. It's impossible. It's impossible. So step out of bed, step out of your tent, step out of life, out of the forest, wherever you are. And when you open your eyes, even as your eyes are open, no matter what is going on in the world, your thoughts can never be taken away from you. Keep them in a loving manner. Wish for everyone peace. Wish for everyone to know love. I'm telling you, this is the only way we can correct everything. And it's going to take some doing. And right at the moment, we have been pushed so far back in the world. This is insane. So let's all work together and pass the messages forward and encourage one another to step out as love's power, because that's who we are individually. We can correct things and we can help others. We can show up differently. It's a choice. Anyway, I just felt so pulled to share this. Time does not heal all wounds. Look at our world. Only love heals all wounds throughout time. But we don't know that. Humanity doesn't live like that. That's a what? What are you talking about? There is no love. There is none of this. I've heard that. And you know what? They're right. They're right. There's not enough. But we can change that if we all do it. If we all do it together. That's what I want for all of us. I want everyone to feel love. I want everyone to be supportive of one another. And what we don't understand, let's start asking questions. How did this happen? Why is this person allowed to? How is this individual getting away with this? Wait, what? Stop the presses. This is not allowed. This is not okay. That's as far as I'm going to go right now. But until next time, I wish everyone peace, and may peace be upon everyone in every single way, in everything that you do.